Welcome to the Seattle Power BI user group. So this is our May 2022 edition. We have an exciting speaker with us today, and we're going to be talking about application-like report development techniques. That was the title. I'm super excited for this. I find that this is something that comes up for me all the time because ultimately, as report developers, what are we doing? We're often making things for people to interact with, right? We're making something that is for a person. It's not just to give them data, but it's for them to actually interact with. Everyone's familiar with apps. Okay, let's dive into it. So first, we're going to do a little bit of group introduction. We always like to do that just to ground people on who we are and why we're here. We have a few announcements to go through. I'll try and be quick and clear about that. And then we'll get over to speaker introduction and let Sam McKay talk us through today. All right. So SeaPUG, what is it? So we've defined it as a collection of Power BI enthusiasts in the Seattle area with a West Side focus. So this is just how we defined ourselves at the very, very start. And a lot of that, the West Side, you see that that's highlighted. That's just to acknowledge the fact that there is also a Bellevue-based, or what we call in Seattle, the East Side focus. So there's a whole other Seattle Power BI user group based over there. You can check out their stuff. I highly recommend it. They produce a lot of great content and a lot of great meetups too. But the main reason we exist is because we do Power BI and we love Power BI. So why? Particularly for this community, it's about encouraging sharing, right? Knowledge, opportunities, growth, journeys, and relationships. So share, right? Feel free, if you have questions, share. I'll walk through some of our, what we're asking for in the meeting, but ultimately it's around sharing. So in our meeting today, we ask everyone to be visible if you're comfortable, right? I know that Sam has probably given hundreds of these. I know I've done a few myself, probably pales in comparison, but it is not fun to try and give a presentation to faceless nothingness. So if you're comfortable coming on camera, please do. Outside of that, it's all about the community. So be aware of others, be friendly and patient, welcoming and respectful. Okay, we want to be open to all questions and viewpoints, understanding of differences, and right, be kind and considerate. It's following by the golden rule. So everyone, be friendly, as friendly as you can. Announcements. So a few community announcements. So if you didn't know, Microsoft Build is currently going on. In fact, I've been told that right after we have this meetup, so around 1 p.m. Pacific time, there's supposed to be a few new announcements coming out for Power BI in particular that I've been told are a big deal. I know nothing more, so don't ask me. Another upcoming summit I wanted to call out is the Data Insight Summit in Chicago. So we've had Razor Rad, who runs Radicad, on here previously, and he's running his own summit in Chicago, and that's just all around learning everything that is BI based, particularly in the Microsoft stack. So it's going to be Excel and it's going to be Power BI. Something we brought up a few times before: discussion board. If you need help on anything and you're going through and you've asked your friends and you've asked your colleagues and you got nothing, feel free to go to the Meetup site and post on the discussion board to ask for help. And people either in the community or maybe even one of us can reach out and try and help you. And then lastly, I already mentioned this, but the meeting recordings will be posted to YouTube. It normally takes me about a week to get that done, but don't hold me to it. Okay, lastly, if you're excited about this, if you're like, this is cool, I want to get involved, how do I do it? There are a number of different ways you can. So one, you're already doing, attend. Also providing meetup feedback. So after we're done with this session, kick us a note on meetup.com and let us know what you thought. Did Wesley babble for far too long, right? Maybe this content is not worth your time, and I can speed through it. Recommending or being a speaker. So community, we come back to community every time, community driven. So if you yourself want to be a speaker, great. And in these digital times, if you are not Seattle based, that is okay. Sam is in a very, very different time zone in a very, very different country. And that's perfectly okay because we're digital and we can make it work. Thanks to Sam, by the way, because it's very early his time in New Zealand. Recommend a topic or activity. Once again, hit us up on Meetup. That's probably the easiest way to do it, but we're always looking for what's the next thing that you want to do? What do you want to hear about? What are you not hearing about? What do we want to discuss? And we can circle the wagons and try and figure out another upcoming meetup that can surround a topic or activity. And then lastly, volunteer. You can join the team if you want. This is, we're currently a group of 5 people primarily that are working on this from month to month and trying to bring in speakers and bring in community activities. And if you want to get involved, let us know. All right, I've gone on long enough. So now I will hand this over to Alina for the speaker introduction.
Yeah, so today I'm really excited to announce that we have Sam McKay joining us, calling from New Zealand. So thank you for calling in super early in the morning. He is the founder and CEO of Enterprise DNA, and he's put together a ton of super awesome content and trainings around Power BI that you can find on the Enterprise DNA website and also on YouTube. So without further ado, I will pass it off to Sam to give us the lowdown on application-like report development techniques.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep. Sounds good.
Cool. So yeah, I'll just do a quick introduction and then I'll jump into it. So I founded Enterprise DNA about 6 years ago now. I saw the renewed or refreshed Power BI suite come out whilst I was working in a large organization here in New Zealand. And when I saw that, I immediately thought, wow, this is going to be big. This is going to be a big technology. This can do this solves so much of the inefficiencies around how report development is done and managed and consumed within organizations. So at that time, I think I resigned from my job maybe a week after I saw Power BI. I was like, wow, I was just so convinced. It was sort of one of those things where you're sort of just sitting around waiting for something to arrive, and then boom, it appears in front of your face, and you've got such conviction that it's going to be something. And I would say that I didn't even have a business model at the time. I just thought, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. People are going to want to learn how to do this. They're going to need help implementing it. But over time, I did a bit of everything to begin with, and then over time, I realized, okay, well, education and empowerment is the way to go. That's where we can impact the most people the quickest, and so that's where we've really aligned Enterprise DNA's offering from that point on for a number of years now. And so we're obviously quite big online. You've maybe seen a few videos. We also do a lot of things now, like challenges. We're holding a summit right now, which maybe some of you have heard of. We've been marketing it a lot over the last month. It's the Reporting and Visualization Summit, and it's been awesome to get so many great speakers together, and just blown away by some of the ideas and techniques and content that others are producing out there. It was me for a long time, but then I came to a realization that is it's a bit difficult to do that over the long term, just producing everything yourself. And also there was a realization that you can't do everything yourself. Like, there's so many smart and talented people out there around Power BI, and we want to become sort of an incubator. I mean, we're trying to be the incubator of that great talent within our platform. So what else? That's really it. We're growing really fast, which I'm very proud of. We've got close to 8,000 sort of members now, paying members. impacting far more than that in terms of our content and resources, etc., that we put out there. So yeah, we're really happy with that, and we're always looking for new and interesting ways that we can empower Power BI development. We were initially just content, but we've got fantastic resources and Power BI templates now. We've also built some technology called the Analyst Hub, which is about productivity in Power BI. And we've recently released some external tools that can go into your external toolbar called Enterprise DNA Power Tools. We run challenges, events, etc. And we've got a few other things in the pipeline as well. So it's full-on empowerment. That's really what we're all about. And it's about speeding up and improving everyone's Power BI development. That's sort of really our vision and what we're targeting these days. So getting into my moving on into my content for this session. So application report like development. Now, how this has evolved in our own thinking, and this is me personally, but also as a team and as an organization, is that we've learned a lot about the medium development out there, like what on average you're seeing from a development point of view inside of Power BI. We've learned a lot through our challenges. We've seen hundreds and hundreds of reports come in through I think we're up to challenge 20 now. So we've had 19 rounds of challenges, and we've seen so much variety, some amazing, some okay, and some that need a bit of improvement, right? And so by seeing all of these different variations in report development, we've really actually come up with our own methodology around what we think works well. So we've been able to extract all of the good things from the good reports that we like, and we've built it into this sort of framework that we call our application-like report development. And we think that by implementing a lot of these ideas, and to be honest, none of them are that complex or anything like that. It's just sort of like a framework that you can apply to your report development that makes your reports more application-like and therefore more engaging, more consumable from your or within your stakeholder base. So that's really what I plan to cover today. And whilst I'm just going through a few things here and showing you a few examples, please, just shout out, and we can collaborate and have a discussion about anything that I go over. I will say that like none of the individual items that I talk about today or parts of the framework are that difficult, as I mentioned, but it's using them in combination and using them alongside some of the great features that we have inside of Power BI that can take your report to another level very, very quickly. Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen if that's okay. And I will show you a few things. Go in here. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep, we can see
Yep.
it.
Cool. I'm gonna have my Zoom working, which should be working on your guys' side. Okay, so this is the framework. I'll just quickly go through this, and then I'll show you examples of how these are applied. Okay, so the first one is grid format. Is always having some simple grid or grids within your report pages. So you haven't got visualizations and cards and slices, etc., just scattered everywhere. It's all about having them in this sort of simple grid format. How you do that can be quite varied, but by just setting things out in a nicely aligned way within a grid pattern, it can make a big difference to your reports. We believe that using simple colors, simple variations of colors, is absolutely essential. Never overusing colors, never having too much contrast between colors. All you need in a lot of cases is maybe even like 2, 3, 4 variations of the same color, and it can make your report really stand out and look really fantastic. Navigation, every report that should have, we feel, some sort of inbuilt navigation experience. So we want to what we believe is that we should almost hide all of your pages within Power BI desktop, so that when someone looks at it online, they can only click through to different areas of the report by some sort of action within the report page itself. So you almost take the user through a navigation experience that you have created, rather than them being able to click on any page in your report. Okay, and I'll show you some good examples there.
Hey, Sam,
really good.
can I say something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
On that one, I remember when Power BI first launched, we were building some dashboards for some C-suite executives, and the decision was, don't let them see the pages. Like, don't let them see it, because they'll get lost. They'll jump to a page, they won't know where they are. So let's build the navigation that kind of takes them through. So anyway, I love that. I think that's a great idea to keep that going, especially with the new capabilities now that they've given with bookmarks and stuff.
Yes, it used to be a lot harder to do that. So it definitely, with a lot of the updates and bookmarks and the easy, I mean, you can even embed navigation to a different page now much easier than you could previously. So it is a lot easier to do this now, for sure. Then labeling, I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory, but just really quality labeling, making it very obvious what someone is looking at on a report page, and also taking a user through a story, through good labeling and good information on a page that someone is looking at. Selecting the correct visuals is very, very important. Still, like, we see visuals which are too overwhelming. They aren't telling a coherent story alongside other visualizations, and so we want to make sure that at all times we're using the most effective visualization for the information that we're trying to showcase. Number 6 here is condense information. So we are, and me personally, I'm a big believer in that. These days you can condense the amount of information that you have in your reports into far less pages than you think. So I still see a lot of reports that have 10 pages, 15 pages. And the reality is you can showcase most of what you need within 3 to 5 pages, easy. All you need to do is utilize those pages better. And there's some fantastic features now within Power BI that make that possible. Things like page tooltips, bookmarks, and in combination with selections. You can fit so much more into one page than you ever could have historically, and in a lot of cases, you could ever imagine. It's quite incredible. And then the last one is this is kind of, I would put this in brackets because it's sort of not so much like part of our framework, but it's sort of like a big recommendation, is using templates. Really leveraging off what what others have created, what other ideas you see out there. I think one of the biggest things we find with our challenges, like when someone's trying to create a report from scratch, is that creative aspect can really hold a lot of us back. It can take a lot longer to take a blank canvas and create it into something. And so what I do and what I recommend is really look at what other showcases and what other great reports are out there and leverage off them. Even maybe copy some of their ideas into your own report. Like, it's very easy to do that now. And so that's just a big recommendation to almost like implement this framework a bit quicker. Okay. So I'll come back to these in a second, but I want to show you a few reports that have this application-like framework embedded into them. Okay. Now, by the way, if you haven't been to our website before, we have an amazing showcase. Okay, and a lot of the reports that I'm going to show you are within this showcase. Okay, so I'm just going to click on it so you can have a look. But we put all of our best showcases that we've developed and also that our community has developed into here. And what we do for our sort of paying members is we actually enable the downloading of the PBIX file for all of those who have access. And so you'll see here that we've got a variety of different reports covering a range of different scenarios. So we recently had a call center challenge. Before that, we had like an operational data set, manufacturing data set, environmental analysis, and so on. We even had a Formula One challenge, which produced some of the most amazing reports we've seen. I'll show you this one later on, but this was created by one of our community, and I would say up there as one of the best Power BI reports I've ever seen. So definitely keen to show you that. But let me just jump to this report here, okay? Just to show you how you can apply these ideas to your report, okay? So the first one is the simple grid patterns, okay? So the grid patterns can they can honestly be in any sort of shape and size, but it's just about aligning your visuals into aligning your visuals well so that they are in a sort of a grid pattern. Okay, that's all it is. Okay, but if you see here that the grids we've got in this particular page are, we've got a grid down the left-hand side here with our navigation. We've got a grid up the top here like this. We've got a grid here. So even though I haven't got any grid lines or anything like that, you can kind of see that there is a grid pattern embedded into this report, right? And if I go to a different page, you'll see exactly the same thing. We've got a grid pattern up the top, grid pattern down here, grid pattern around the table, and we go to here, similar sort of thing. It's just all grids, and this is common across all good reports. Like just the alignment is always in a similar sort of setup to this. Then colors. So you see when you look at this report, how many colors do you see here? It's really just one shade, isn't it? It's just one shade of color, and that's all that's required. I still am able to see all of the insights that I want, but there's no overwhelming color scheme here, right? Power BI enables you to have a very comprehensive color palette, right? But you'll see here that I like to set up my color palettes like basically all the same shade, just different variations. And how we actually do this is through how I do it. And I mean, you can do this a number of ways, but we have here, this is called the Analyst Hub. This is the technology, the productivity technology that we built around Power BI. And we have this color theme generator here. And so everything is set up here for speed inside of Power BI. And so you come in here and you can create it's called the colors fan, and you can create a theme which is just different shades of the same color. And so you can click through here, and so if you've got a sort of certain color that you like, you can find it like so, and then you can quickly copy all of these hex codes into your report, and that's how you get those different shades. Okay, so that's a quick and easy tip to really improve things there. Now, the next one I think is navigation. Okay, so I'm in Power BI desktop here, right? But I want you to also see down the bottom, you see I've hidden every single page here. Okay, so I'm not letting the user click through to different pages at all. I want them to use the navigation experiences that I have created in my app. Okay, so when they're experiencing this online, all they can see is the navigation on the left and the navigation that I've built in here. But even though this a lot of what I've created here isn't really that difficult, right? Like for the navigation, all I've done is added actions on top of icons, right? That's basically all I've done. And so to actually do this is not super difficult. It's just about sort of getting creative, right? And so when I created this one, I was like, okay, well, how can I almost make it look like a web application, like something that you would see on the web? And I thought, okay, well, a lot of web applications have a menu bar up the top, don't they? And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to have my reports area here, and I'm going to have a menu bar at the top. Okay, and so you see here that I've got this one highlighted when I'm actually selected in here, and then when I go to my next one, to brokers, this looks like I'm in this page. And even though it looks like I'm in exactly the same experience, I'm actually in reality I'm on a different page. I'm on a different page in my Power BI desktop file, and the same for customers, like so. And also just another little nice navigation element here. Instead of like the user can click from here to here, well, they can click these arrows and jump back as well. So another simple and easy navigation feature. Cool. So I've got a question. How did I build this menu? This is just a, is it a text box? I think it's a shape. So you can't put an action on a text box, but you can put an action on a transparent shape. So this is just like a shape that I've made 100% transparent, right? So you can't actually see anything, and then I've embedded the page navigation action onto it. And so all it's doing is it's jumping from one page to another. So here I'm on sort of like the home page, complaints overview, and then when I click on this shape, it takes me to to a different page. So even though what I want to contrast with you here is, let's have a look at this online and have a look at what it looks like. It totally looks like you're in an application, a web-based application, right? Desktop doesn't sort of do it justice because you can see a lot of the elements, okay? But this is us viewing it online. So think about if you're viewing this in the online service, okay? When I click to here, like I don't have to hold down Control or anything. It's just literally one click. It looks like you're in a website, doesn't it? There's no other way that I can navigate around my report other than clicking through into these different elements. And this is just a superior experience within Power BI, totally superior. I can click through, these little arrows I've done as well. I'm going to show you lots of different examples of this, but this is just sort of the idea, right? And then on the left hand side, we can navigate to other pages as well, right? That have different details, different parts of it. And what's also good about this idea, I mentioned my sort of last point was use templates, use showcases. That being able to copying this idea into your own report is so easy. It's so easy now. Like literally, you could you could basically just recreate it yourself very quickly with a shape and some icons that you can find. But like what you can also do, and what I've done in the past, is you can now actually, if you have access to this file, you can literally group all of these features and then copy them into your own model. So it's actually really, really easy to leverage off what others have done now. And I don't believe this was always possible. So I think this is relatively recent, maybe in the last year or two. So that's just that is on the whole sort of the navigation piece. Okay, so hopefully that, has anyone got any other questions on that? Because I think this is sort of like a big one. This is a big way that we've evolved our thinking, particularly around report development. So Oliver's got a question. Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, Sam, I'm the one that asked the question. I love the side nav, partner with that top level nav. It gives you so much flexibility and make it look like a full blown web app. Yeah. I'm curious at how, like, when you have this embedded inside another, like the app navigation that you get with Power BI, and how you can cleverly use that. Because that's one thing that makes it nice when you do use the page, when you don't hide your pages, your Power BI apps automatically give you that navigation experience.
That's a very good point. When I first created this, the Power BI apps didn't exist. And so that was something that appeared like straight after I sort of came up with this particular report. But in any case, I would still say that it's better to have a person be directed by your navigation rather than being able to click through different pages. I would still say that and confidently feel like you're going to create a better experience if someone is clicking through here and just seeing the homepage. And you can have many pages, like in an organization. The idea that we really push now is everyone should be using the same template. They should be using the same navigation experience. Like it should all be normalized. And so that's what I think on the whole most people should aim for. Most developers and also organizations should aim for. Now, my next one I'll just go into is simple and effective labeling. So here's just, this is just one example, but there's so many ways that you can make your labeling quality. But you see here that there's always like a nice page header. All of my navigation icons are labeled really well. But other things that are important as well is that, and these are just small things, is that you'll see here that there's some contrast between this menu item and this menu item to really show that you are on this page. Like if these were all the same color and you didn't have this line here, it would not be easy to know where you're at. And so these are just small little things that make a big difference to just the consumer really understanding where they are in their report. Okay, visual. The next one is visual selections. So yeah, I mean, this one's pretty simple. It's probably best explained like when I contrast it with visuals that aren't so good. But really, what I'm highlighting here is just you want to keep your visualizations as simple and intuitive as possible. Right? Like you don't want to have a donut chart with like 50 different items in it. You don't want to have a column chart that is so overwhelming you can't see individual parts of the stacked column chart. You want to use line charts or area charts for dates, for example. Just simple things like that, making key information stand out. Yeah, that's really it. Nothing too complicated there, but it can sometimes ruin the consumer experience if you have one visual which is not intuitive for the user or for the consumer. So I'll show you a few other examples. I definitely want to show you some other examples, but this last point is important too. Okay, so condense information. Okay, so there's so many things that you can put on a page within Power BI now. So many great things, but it's important to use visuals in a way that is again less overwhelming, but also strategic in terms of how you let a user navigate around your report. Okay, for example, you see here that in this page report here, there is basically no slicer selection that anyone can make, particularly on like key attributes or key filters that we want to put in this report. Okay, you'll see that there is a date date selection, but instead of having like a date slicer on every single page, or having the same slices on every single page, what we've done here to make it more application-like is we've created a settings page like this, right? Okay, and then this is in Power BI Desktop, and I'll show you what it looks like online. But what you can do is on one page, you can make these key selections, right? And then from this one page, all of those selections will flow into your report over your entire report. So you see here, and I haven't got a big like map to showcase it. I've used this tiny little map up the side to show, okay, this is the only part of America we're looking at here. Here is the date selection, and this is reflected on every single page. So we've instead of having to overload your page after page with exactly the same information, we've condensed it into one small area in a report to showcase what we're looking at. But then the manipulation of those filters is done also on one page and just syncing across every other report page. Another thing that I love doing these days is using tooltips as well. And you'll see here that instead of putting this visualization in on the page and taking up lots of room, I've said, okay, well, if someone really wants to learn about the product breakdown, okay, we'll hover over this image. And then you'll see a tooltip which showcases it. So there's just so many room-saving things that you can do, like a ton. One of the other things that I really like is filter panes that pop out. And you can go click open and click off, and that's just using bookmarks. That's just strategically using bookmarks and the selection pane. So some of the greatest reports we've seen use these extensively, like in an extensive way. Okay, so those are sort of my key ones. I wanna show you some other ones, okay? Because this is just one idea, but hopefully I sort of made the case for a lot more application-like development. That's what my most important things. But I want to show you just some other awesome reports that follow similar sort of things that can really take your experience you create within your Power BI report to that next level. And I'm not saying like also that you have you've got to get things up to this level. Like I think there's simpler versions of exactly the same framework, but these just take it sort of to another level. So there's some good inspiration here that I want to showcase. Okay, so this was developed by a gentleman named Gastor, who's based in Poland. Just the most creative report designer you'll ever meet. It's absolutely incredible. But this was just a whole range of historical Formula One data. Okay, and so what he's done here is he's sort of just created like an application, like a web-based app. I mean, this would be, you know, you could imagine the Formula One commentators using an app like this, explaining like, you know, what's going on throughout time in Formula One. So you click into here, and this is sort of like the navigation experience. So think about, you know, how similar it is in terms of like navigating, but different in terms of the design that I showcased earlier. So what you can do is you can click into any of these, right? And these are just using, I believe, like the shapes that you can become, you can hover on and hover off, etc. And so then you click onto here, and then you know, see information about, what is this one, about circuits, and then I think there's some really good tooltips here as well. Some really cool dynamic tooltips. So like incredible how good you can make these tooltips look, right? Like, I mean, if you saw this online, you'd be like, wow, that's amazing. Like if you saw this in a website, right? And it's almost like an analytical application. It's an analytical app that you can build. And then there's just some simple navigation to go back to previous view, which I like. And then this takes you down into another another part of the analysis. Again, some really neat tooltips used here as well. You see, if you have a look at this tooltip, like look at the, I mean, this is just a report page tooltip, right? Which it's just information from another page, which is feeding through into this one. But just look at the way that you can integrate the design. Like it doesn't have to be just sort of like a white background or just a singular color background. Like by using shapes and using shadows, like you can actually make these tooltips look absolutely phenomenal. Dynamic and also incredibly creative. And then up the top here is just another simple navigation that takes you to just another information. So that's a really good one. Like this is one of the best reports I've honestly seen. Really high quality. I want to show you another one that is really, so this one here, this transport and shipping. Okay, so again, this follows all the same techniques, but again is very creative, really creative. Okay, so this looks like a tablet app basically, right? The background here has been created in PowerPoint and then embedded into a Power BI report. So that gives you a lot more flexibility, but just the unique navigation up the top, which I really like. So you've got the similar sort of background, but you've got dynamic insights within each different report page. So I like this one. And then there's all these little things that are really cool, like see more is just a click, and then that opens up with visual selection. With the selections, you can hide and show certain aspects within a report. So instead of taking up all the real estate when someone lands on it, you can show it only when you want the user to. So you think about how this is, you're manipulating what the user is experiencing within the report. It's not them clicking around. Like that's one of the big takeaways, right? And then I love this, this side navigation. So we've got some high level information. And then what the developer's done here is you can click this magnifier and click it. And then what it does is it totally changes that right-hand side information. And then in this particular one, it's about logistics. And so you can actually type in like a shipment detail, and then you'll find out all of the information about that shipment. So here I'll just make a selection. And then so think about like you're on a call center or something like that, and you're getting all of this, these customer requests, and you're trying to find out information. Well, here's just like a web-based app, which is basically, showcase. You can take the details off the phone or off the customer chat. You can type it into this app and then get all the details and relay it on. So, hopefully I'm sort of expanding your mind in terms of like what creatively you can do by showcasing some of these ideas. Is there any thoughts? Any thoughts at this point? Any questions? What does everyone think about the ideas?
I just think of some random thoughts, you know, because I love that one page where you had to hit settings and then boom. I see that ideal for like when you have report level settings that you want, and then maybe when you have like a lot of variety for like you know what maybe on a single page, using like a collapsible menu bar for like those page level ones, and then but to limit how much you have to put on your page level, you use that settings page. That is a really cool thing.
Yeah, I really like this idea too. Yeah, I mean, and this could be far more complex, right? You could have like a much more complex settings with all of the types of filters you could set up, and it doesn't have to be on a separate page as well. Like this is on a page by itself. It could be on a pop out filter as well. I want to show you one example of that as well, because I really like that idea. Oh, this is a Formula One as well, but I'll just show you what I like most about it is so it's similar sort of data, exactly the same data as the other one I showed you, but what I like the best out of this one is this pop-out box, like here. I love that. Like this it's just a really good use of real estate, right? Like when the user jumps in, they don't see any filtering capabilities, or just a couple, but for the main filters across this report, you click that open, and then you've got your filters that you can place here. So you can change the dates here, right? And then you can click it out. I mean, that to me looks like a real web-based app, right? Even better than most web-based apps that you would see. It's very, it's so seamless. Like this is in Power BI, right? But it just and it's in Power BI. And if you contrast how hard that would be to build into a web app, I mean, you'd have to have gone like got a degree in computer science to be able to create something like that. But like to be able to create this inside of Power BI is not that difficult. It's crazy how easy it is, and it's so dynamic. So that's a good one.
Yes, something that really stands out to me about pretty much all your reports is your use of iconography as a visual language, and I feel like that's something that in the reporting world we don't do as well. Sometimes it's because it's just easier to throw in the word, like we were just looking at, like the word trophy, right? It's just easier because it's in the data and you just throw it up there and it's a table and it says, there you go, that's trophy and we're done. But to be able to use iconography, like we shortcut everyone. Like you will automatically know what you are looking at because of that icon, and you no longer have to read words all over a page. And so I love that use of visual language. The one question I had was, do you have a common place that you source your icons from? There you go.
That's where I go. So I've got an annual membership here, and this has everything like All Center or something. Has every icon you could ever want, and you can get them into any color you want as well. So you can click on here and then edit the color. Say you want to, anything, any color. So you just basically contrast it to the color palette that you've got in your report. So that's the easy way to do that.
Love it.
Yeah.
No, the Noun project. Yeah, Oliver, good call.
So question. It must be difficult to maintain all the slicer selections and layers. To be honest, it's actually not. It is actually not. I would say it's remarkably easy, to be honest. So I'll show you. I don't know if I used too many bookmarks, and no, I didn't use too many in this one. But page navigation, like that I've built inside of here is super easy. Like I'm not even using bookmarks. All it is just an action, because within the actions we can very simply navigate to another page just by a click. So there's no bookmarks there. Bookmarks are great if you want to do something within a report page, though. As an example, I'll show you. I was building this yesterday on a live call during our summit, and so I'll show you what I did here. So I haven't quite finished this, but you'll see here that I've created this experience where I open up a filter and then I can click it out. Okay, but once you create all of these elements here, once you create all of these, you can group them so easily into a group in the selection pane now. So if I click on this, you'll see that I created this group called filter pane. And then all of my bookmarks can be easily manipulated to a group of elements rather than every single individual element. And so you'll see here, and creating and adding and moving elements from a group is also as easy as a click and drag now. Like it doesn't require that much. So I can understand the thoughts there, but I truly believe it's not actually that complex. Like it is quite easy to throw something quite comprehensive together, which looks comprehensive, but in the background is not that difficult. So Joel was saying I was speaking of the Formula One example with a magnification glass, the pop-out side filter panes. Yeah, so Joel, what I showed you here, what I'm showing you here is exactly what has been done in that report. Like it's really you create all of the elements really quickly and then group them, and then very quickly in the selection pane, the grouping, you can test just by clicking one. You're not clicking on each individual element there. You're clicking on a group of elements now. And so when you are lining up the bookmarks to your selection pane, it's literally you're lining it up with a book with a group of elements. Cool. I think I'm probably done in terms of what I was going to show. I just want to highlight, I've got a hard stop in about 10 minutes, so hopefully that's okay. I just got a client call after this, but yeah, look, what do you guys think? Any other thoughts? Hopefully I've sort of laid out the framework, in a sequential way that you all feel is achievable. But I said at the start that I don't believe that it's really that complex. Like they're individually, all of these elements within our framework is it's so achievable by anyone. It's just about putting them all together at the same time. Like that's what it's really about. Because if you sort of fall, if you miss one of these, like it can really detract from your entire development. But if you do all of these well, it really elevates your reports very, very quickly, very, very fast. Any other questions? Is there anything about enterprise DNA that I can tell you guys about as well?
With this kind of report development, I'm curious how much, at what point during the report development lifecycle do you find yourself getting to this point? Because I feel like this is very much storytelling with data. You have a defined path for how you want your users to work with it and understand it. I think oftentimes the users don't necessarily know what they want until they start interacting with things, and requirements changed often, especially once it starts getting in the hands of more people. So I'm curious, when do you start hardening up your reporting to get more application-like?
Yeah, look, it's absolutely towards the end for sure. You've got to build your foundation well. I mean, there's no denying that. You've got to build. You got to use the Power Query editor effectively. You've got to build a strong data model, and then that once you do that, your DAX formulas become more simple and easy to implement. And then this is the sort of final piece, right? Is you've got the foundations of your house sorted, right? And then this is where you can really make the entire consumer experience that much better, that much more compelling. So it's definitely at the end, and there's no reason why you can't iterate to this point. You don't have to always get to the full application from day one. It does help though having, I would say, a template. Some sort of template in your mind around how you're going to build the application. So are you going to have a left-hand side navigation experience with someone being able to click through icons? Are you going to have your menu bar maybe up the top? What information do you think should be on one part of your report versus the next page versus the next page? So I think those things things that you can help you get to a more application quicker, but there's no reason why you don't have to build your full-on application, right out of the gate. Like it can be iterated upon, and you can get there in an iterative way.
Cool, thank you.
A lot of the navigation experiences that I've developed as well, they sort of just come to me over time, like as I'm working through the story, because I'm like, okay, well, yep, I can see that the user's gonna see this when they jump into the report, but I want them to maybe be able to drill down into a particular aspect, or I want these insights to be grouped with these insights, and then I want some other insights to be from one click away. So it's sort of like how I want the user to experience it. It's moving away from just like dumping visualizations on one page after the next without thinking. It's about bringing a lot more thought to how the consumer is going to experience your reporting application.
I love that. Does anyone have any final questions for Sam? We got a couple minutes left.
Jennifer said you needed a creative boost. That's great. One of the things that we always try and do at Enterprise DNA is we want to inspire. Like we've found time and time again that's how you get engagement in our platform and in Power BI is if you can create that inspiration, that creative, those creative ideas. And so that's why I love presenting and talking about these sort of topics, because it really is extending Power BI in a way that not everyone thought is actually possible, isn't it?
We had a question from Lawrence, looking for. So he said, "Love the showcase link. Is there a way to share the showcase as a PBIX or PBIT file?"
So usually to download any of our Power BI PBIX files requires membership. But what I'll do is I'll try and find the link to this particular report and send it to you guys. Let me see if I can copy as path. I'll see what I can do. I'll see if I can. I won't take up too much of our time, but I've got it here, and I'll maybe send it to you guys on email or something like that.
Yeah, and then we can post it to the Meetup site.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But if you want to access like literally every single one of these, please have a look at. Just come to our website, have a look through, have a look at all of the content and resources that we have. I mean, we feel it's incredible value, the what you get access to in its entirety around our platform. So definitely check it out.
And it looks like we got a couple of opinion questions. So from Joel, what's the topmost feature you want to see in Power BI in the future?
It's a good question.
I know. I was thinking about that earlier too.
I'm gonna keep it pretty broad. I want to see more automation. Like I want to be able to create these great looking web-based applications with more automation. So whether that's what Power BI facilitates or what we can facilitate or what others can facilitate, I just want to, in less clicks, be able to know what model I should create my DAX formulas, to create a nice looking report with a great template and a great experience. I want more of that automated. That's what I'm sort of looking for, and what we are trying to do, what we're trying to enable and empower more. So if Microsoft can do it, fantastic. If we can, if others can, it doesn't really matter. I just want to be able to create great things, great stuff, great work much more quickly, and I want others to as well. I want businesses to, those within businesses to.
And we got one. We'll have this be our last question. A little cheeky question from Andrew. What's your opinion on pie charts?
I don't like pie charts, but I like donut charts. So I don't know if that is allowed. Like if it's just the circular, if it's just the circular visual which is annoying you. But like no, I rarely use pie charts, but donut charts I think always look nice. For, if you've got maybe like 3 or 4 elements that you're trying to show like percentages of, or enable a quick summary of a similar dimension, like with less numbers of items in that dimension, and then also they're easy to click and drill down. So that's why I like them. But in terms of like look, yeah, pie charts have never really done it for me.
Love it. I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sam. Thanks for joining us. Hope you've had a good morning. It's 8 a.m. your time. As I said, we'll be posting this to YouTube probably in about a week. And everyone know that we're currently working on the June meetup for SeaPUG as well. But with that, thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks all. I really enjoyed it. Talk to you soon. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.